go out there and you develop guys too, and you can show, hey, look, I took these guys and this is what I made them into, and this is what we were able to develop them into. That doesn't hurt in the long run, right? You would think that that also helps you a little bit in your case for, hey, look at me. I know what I'm doing here as a coach. I just want to see the young guys play. But enough of the rant there, because we'll get to that. I'm sure more of that will come in to play here when we get to our Cougars cold hard facts. But let's take a look at what happened just a few nights ago in Charlotte, where the Blazers grabbed their 4th victory in a row and completed the 3-game East Coast road trip sweep, and it was a thing of beauty. On the Charlotte side of things, Josh Green had 14 points, 5 boards. Cody Martin only played 4 minutes, so injuries are no fun in the NBA. We'll see what happens with him moving forward. Mark Williams had 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. 17 points from Nick Smith Jr., and Vasa Micic also had 12 points for the Charlotte Hornets. They were led by Josh Okogie off of the bench with 16 points and 10 boards. On the Portland side of things, Toumani Camara had 11 points, 6 boards, an assist, and 2 steals. He was 5 of 10 from the floor. Jeremy Grant, 22 points, 4 of 8 from beyond the arc, and 4 rebounds. Donovan Clingan, in his return, the action got the start because there was no DeAndre Ayton and no Robert Williams. He had just 4 points, but again, the points are not what's important with DC. It's how he does defensively and everything else he can bring to the table, and he did great. He had 4 block shots in this one. Also had 13 rebounds and 4 assists, so definitely made his impact known. Anthony Simons, 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. He also had 2 steals. 18 points, 5 and 4 from Denny Avdia. Shaedon Sharpe, he played 31 minutes, scored just 13 points. We've talked about this. I want him more aggressive. I want him offensively taking the lion's share of the shots. In fact, I wouldn't mind the nights where he is the team's leader in shot attempts. He wasn't in this one. He had 13 attempts. The leader in attempts was Jeremy Grant, who had 18 field goal attempts. Anthony Simons had 16. So I would like to see Shaedon Sharpe getting just a little bit more aggressive on that end, because I do think he has the ability to be the best offensive player on this team. Scoot Henderson didn't play the minutes we wanted him to do, didn't play in the starting lineup, didn't necessarily play the role that I think he has had the most success with leading the lineup as a true point guard. And I think it showed in the fact that he only played 23 minutes, and you look at his stat line, it was 2 points, it was 1 rebound, 4 assists, a single steal, and 2 turnovers. So unfortunate after riding high for that 4 or 5 games that he puts up a game like that, because that was, by all accounts, it was a bad game. It was a bad game, and you would hope that he can bounce back and get a little better, and I would hope that he plays a little bit more than 22, 23 minutes. That he is important, and I truly believe that he is an important part of this team's future moving forward, and I want him to show it. I want him to get a chance out on the court to truly be that guy. We have seen him in multiple roles, right? He's coming off the bench, he's starting, he has the ball in his hand, he's sagging in the corner, he's playing off ball more, and it's quite obvious that in the starting lineup and ball in his hand is where he excels. So I want to find ways to get him in position to excel more often. That's important. That is important. So I would hope that he has a bounce-back game tonight. But we also know that that's going to be tough, because we're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder here, one of the best teams in all of basketball. In fact, you could argue the best team in all of basketball right now. Their record would say as much. They're 36-8 on the season. That is an 81.8 win percentage. That is better than the 36-9 of the Cleveland Cavaliers out east. So you're talking about a team that can absolutely just give you fits, and every single game against them is going to be rough. Also, though, maybe you could take advantage of the fact that they don't have Chet Holmgren. They don't have Lou Dort, who's out with right knee soreness. And it's just, you got 2 guys right there that maybe you can attack Draymond. And we all know Lou Dort. Lou Dort is just a tenacious defender, right? He makes whoever he is guarding have a rough night at the office. So can you take advantage of them being out? On the Blazers side of things, last update was yesterday afternoon, and DeAndre Ayton and Matisse Thybulle are both listed as out. So you would expect Donovan Clingan and Robert Williams to get that run there at center. Still don't have a word on who will be starting at center. When we get to the coach's corner here in just a few minutes, I'm sure we will get an update on all the injuries and such. In fact, be sure that you're following our Trailblazers insider Sean Hyken on social media at Hikin. Easy to remember. He'll give you latest updates as well, and you can understand what's going on all day long as you get ready for this game. Blazers Thunder here at Moda Center. We're going to take a break. When we come back, though, it is time for the Coach's Corner. We'll hear what Coach Billups has to say ahead of this game. This is Blazers Game Day presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you. It's time now for the Coach's Corner. We are just waiting patiently for Coach Billups to get to the podium, and as soon as he does, we will head down there live to hear what he has to say ahead of this game here tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. In fact, sounds like he is there now.
So who's starting at center?
Donovan.
With Ant, Denny, Tamani, Jeremy?
Yeah. Yep.
Chauncey, how do you think Donovan's coming along so far for you?
I think he's doing awesome. Happy to have him back. I think the more he's out there, the more he picks up on the game, the speed of the game, and he makes us better. I mean, we played with him for the minutes that he played in the game, our previous game against Charlotte. I mean, he really dominated, I thought, the glass, and he had 2 big blocks in the first minute of the game, which sets the tone for us, and we like the pressure and things defensively, so having him, to really clean up the mess, if you will, and protect everybody, he's doing just fine with that.
Is he to the point physically that he can play more minutes?
No, he's still with the, playing under restriction right now.
Johnson, what's been the difference defensively that's led to not just the field goal percentage being held, but opportunities and defensive playmaking? Like what's different about the last 2 weeks?
I think just our physicality and our pressure has been a big difference, for us out there defensively. We've just tried to make everybody earn everything that they do, and if they are successful with it, cool, but it won't be due to lack of effort out there. We've, with some physical guys in that starting lineup, now, and then obviously having Rob and having DC back, and even when DA played, I thought DA was, in the Miami game, was as good as we've seen him, defensively and offensively. So just think locking in on that end has helped us. And one thing that's always been an Achilles heel for us, is after we play these really good defensive possessions, is coming up with the rebound. You come up with the rebound, boom, and we can get out, kind of play fast and have fun, and that's in turn helped our offense. So, yeah.
That increased physicality, do you feel like those younger guys are kind of getting a little bit more leash with officials, and also officials are maybe allowing some of the physicality that we saw towards the end of last season to come back as opposed to the start of the year?
Yeah, I think it's gotten a lot more physical. I love it. I think it plays in our hands, but we have to embrace it as a unit, all of us, and know that when we go to the hole, I tell our guys all the time, I'll do the crying to the referees. I got it. Let me talk to them. Y'all just keep playing, and if they're going to allow us to play that way, let's play that way. Let us do the same thing, let's make the adjustment there. But I do feel like, our game has continued to stay physical, I guess. I think it's cool.
It's the third round with OKC this season right now, and sending at the home court again with a better momentum. Would you expect anything different in this one, or?
Well, we're in a different place. We'll play hard. I thought we played really good against them in our last game. There, we played them really well. They forced us into a lot of turnovers, 24 turnovers in that game, which I thought decided the game, but they didn't get away from us until late in the fourth quarter, in my opinion. So we've played well against them, and then obviously we've had some really rough nights against them. They're the best team in the league for a reason. They got the MVP for a reason. They're really good. So we'll play the way that we play. We're in a pretty good space right now, but we know what we're up against.
Any other questions?
Good. All right.
All right, there you hear Coach Billups from the press conference. Biggest takeaway is that obviously both Rob and DC are a go tonight, and DC, Donovan Clingan, will get the start at center tonight for your Trail Blazers. If you want to join in on the conversation with us, Chris J. Burkhart's the name on social. Heading on over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio. You can get in on the chat there as well. And, of course, if you feel so inclined, 503-248-0620 is that telephone number. And it's interesting because the chatters are talking about how the difference between, building for the future and wanting to build this winning culture. And it's interesting because I do think that, if you go out there and you say, okay, we want to develop these young guys, we want to get them on the court, and winning isn't the priority, there can still be value in that. Even if you're losing games hand over fist, if you have Scoot and you have Shea and you have DC and Tumani and all these young guys going out there showing 100% effort every single game, I mean, you're busting your tail. That type of thing, that can build a culture as well, right? Like, it's the Heat culture, right? They built this culture on we're a hard-nosed team. We're going to give our all. We're going to fight, right? And it's like you can get that thing with the youth as well. Like, we're going to go out there and we're going to give you 110% every single night, and we're going to make teams work for it, right? And so that's valuable as well. And then, again, wins eventually start to pile up. And I'll dive into that just a little bit later here, actually, in the next segment when we get to our Coors Cold Hard Facts, because that's it's the whole pick a lane thing. You need to pick a lane. You need to pick a lane, as Riley says. It's the direction right now. It has me worried. Some clarity from Cronin and Chauncey would go a long way, and it's very true. That's very true, and I would hope that come trade deadline time. I mean, trade deadline is in a little over. Well, it's got what? Less than 2 weeks, I guess. February 6th. Maybe you have a little bit more clarity, and then the off season you have a little bit more clarity. Like if you get to October and training camp and you're still sitting in muddy waters, then you're in real trouble. Like, my full expectation is by the time it's October, you're looking at, like, Hawaiian beach water, Bahama water, right, where you can stand up neck deep water, look down and see your toes because it's so clear, right? You get what I'm saying? You know what's going on. Not the muddy water where you look at it and you're like, I have no idea how deep that is. That could be an inch deep. It could be 10 feet deep. I have no idea. It is so muddy and it is so murky, and I have no idea what lies beneath. Right now, it's like Blazers are dangerously close to not knowing what lies beneath. Because if the argument is, okay, we can't put Scoot out there, we can't put Shea out there, and we can't put DC out there because they haven't earned the starting nod. These other guys have earned the starting position. Okay, well then you need to find a way to get them out. You need to find a way to get them out because you need to have the room for your young guys to play. That's key. There's other alternatives too, and again, we'll dive into those here in just a few minutes. But we will take our next break here right now. When we return, it will be time for our Coors Cold Hard Facts, where I can really dive into what I'm trying to say here. I didn't want to waste it all yet, but this whole idea, like Riley said, some clarity from Cronin. You need that. Yogi Berra once said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. And it kind of feels like that's what the Blazers are doing. They got to the fork in the road. They saw left. They saw right. They saw the fork. They took the fork. The metaphorical fork. You need to pick one of those roads. Pick one of those roads. We'll dive into that when we come back with our Coors Cold Hard Facts. This is Blazers Game Day, presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you want to join the conversation with us, Chris J. Burkhardt's the name on social. You can also go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, get that bad baby rolling. We're having some fun here, but it's time now for the Coors Cold Hard Fact, and it's funny because I had made a reference prior about, coming to a fork in the road, and the image that was in my head when I said that was from the episode of The Simpsons when they're going down the river, the family's on the raft, and Homer looks one way and it's like all rainbows and it's all nice, and the other one is like all the dead trees, and it's obviously the dangerous road you don't take, or the path you don't take. And it's just funny because that's exactly what was in my head when I uttered that phrase out loud. And then Jason, a listener of the show, sent a message in a group chat about it, and literally put that GIF in the chat. And I'm just, get out of my head, man. Get out of my head. You're thinking how I'm thinking here. I don't know if I like that. It's freaking me out. But it is exactly what I'm thinking, because that's how the Blazers are going. One way could be good. One way could be bad. Maybe both ways are good. You don't know, but the point is you're not going to keep sailing straight, man. You got to pick one. And it's interesting because if Coach Billups is all about winning, and here's the thing, I don't mean that negatively. Like, Coach Billups is a competitor. He is a competitor, and that's what he wants to do. He's always talked about that. I mean, it's just how he is. And you think the team can win. Like, if you look at that roster and you think Jeremy Grant and DeAndre Ayton and Anthony Simons give you a chance to win ball games, well, then start moving off of Scoot and try to move off of Shea and move off of DC and, take whatever little assets you have and try to bring in players that you think can help the team win now. Okay? If you don't think that that's plausible, and you think that the guys you've been drafting over the last 3 drafts now in Shea and Scoot and DC, and then the guys you traded for, and Tumani and Denny, and those are the guys you want to build around long term, well, then you have got to find a way to open up the doors for them to hit the floor, right? You got to find a way to get Scoot in the lineup. You got to find a way to get Shea back in the lineup. You got to find a way to get DC in the lineup. Because what happens if in the game on Tuesday, all of a sudden DeAndre Ayton's healthy? Well, if DeAndre Ayton's healthy, DeAndre Ayton slotted back into the starting lineup. Robert Williams is probably your backup center. And now Donovan Clingan is back to playing 5-10 minutes a game, right? And even tonight's starting lineup, you could very, very easily go with a Scoot, Ant, Tumani, Jeremy Grant, Donovan Clingan. That could have been your lineup, but they're going with the lineup they went with in Charlotte. So they're going Ant, Tumani, Denny, Jeremy Grant, and then Donovan Clingan because of the center situation. So Scoot is coming back off the bench again. And I get this whole idea. Everyone's like, well, you got to earn your minutes. You got to earn your minutes. Now, if you are sitting here and you are a team that is legit a play-in team with your roster as it is, and you're looking at the playoffs, then absolutely, to me, it makes sense to slow play the progression of your young guys. There's no rush to get them into that lineup and get them where they need to be, because you can slow play this bad boy as long as you want, because the team, what you're going to do is you're trying to do the whole, okay, we're going to be good, and then if someone leaves in free agency or we make a trade, then the next guy slots in because we're slow playing everyone. They'll be ready to go when we need them. But ideally, you want this Blazer team to be ready to go quickly, because you don't want to sit here and go, and even if you go capture the flag, right? So what happens next year? Say no moves are made. No moves are made, and you win the draft lottery and you go get Cooper Flagg. Well, Cooper Flagg is projected to be more of a power forward in this league. Does he play? Does he play, or does he sit behind Jeremy Grant and Denny Avdia and whoever else you're running in that rotation, because they're the vets? And you got to earn it, or whatever it is, right? Yeah, you gotta decide which way you're going. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. That's what Yogi Berra said. Well, when you come to this fork in the road, just pick a lane. Pick a lane. Don't drive north on I-5 South. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just pick the direction, pick the lane, get in the right way, and make sure everyone's on the same page. Now, I do feel like they've made those moves over the last few years to prove that that's kind of where they're going. They want to go with that youth move, and the last thing to do is to get off of those vets and truly lean into this full rebuild. But you cannot continue to be a half rebuild roster, a half vet roster, and with vets that are all capable of winning games. Like DA, that game he had in Miami, as Coach Billups said, was a very, very good game. And then Anthony Simons is a player who there was a lot of teams out there who are playoff contenders who would love to have him because he's good, right? Like I said, look at that team in Orlando. His scoring would be very great for how that team's built. Right? And then obviously Jeremy Grant. I think he's a plug-and-play type of power forward where you can go put him on just about any team who needs a little extra scoring punch, and he'll go be their fourth or fifth guy on the starting lineup, but he's going to go get you points. So there's value there. Now, if you are rebuilding and you have vets, I think you need more vets who are the guys who have, I'm an NBA vet, been in the league 10 years, and I average 9 points, right? You want a vet because you need someone to go teach the young guys. Go get like a Pat Connaughton, right? And I bring that name up obviously because he's a former Blazer, but a guy who's now been in the league for a pretty long time, right? I can't remember the exact number off my head, but he's not a guy who's going to sit there and go, hey, I'm the vet who also there's no way in hell that I am coming off the bench behind Tumani Kamara. He's just like, I'm happy to be here, man. Like that's you got to figure that out. I know that sounds almost cliche a little bit, but it's definitely what you're hearing. It's definitely the chatter, and so you got the deadline coming up, February 6th, and I'm really interested because I don't know if the Blazers are going to be able to make a move. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of moves around the league. I mean, they might end up forcing to have to trade Jimmy Butler because I don't know if Miami can afford to have him disgruntled in that locker room for the rest of the season and wait till the offseason to do it. But you're already hearing that there's 4-team, 5-team involvement. And interestingly enough, I've seen, a rumor that this could happen. I'm pretty sure that trade can't happen according to the new CBA. The Bucks are over the second apron. They can't send 3 people out and get one, even in a 5-team trade. I'd have to go talk to our Sean Hyken to verify. He knows all that stuff quite well, but you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of moving parts here, and this could be a deadline that is just super quiet. It could be a deadline where dominoes fall and everything, starts to snowball from there, and then maybe the Blazers get in on stuff. I know Joe Cronin's doing everything he can. He's making the phone calls and this and that, but phone calls only do so much. You got to make someone pick up the phone, and then you realistically have to start talking to each other, man. You got to start talking, and then you got to make some deals made. But, again, pick a lane. Because I just don't know how much longer it's beneficial to just put Scoot back on the bench and then run him with a second unit that doesn't benefit him in any way, shape, or form. He plays well when he's playing alongside Anthony Simons and he's playing alongside Denny and Jeremy. Why? Because he has shooters around him that he can go facilitate the ball to and really see the fruits of his labors because he likes to get people involved, which is really good. But instead, you play him off the bench, and for the most part, you put him next to Ant, but you still let Ant run the show. And we've seen that story again when the guy who does better with the ball in his hand is sitting in the corner when he's not a catch-and-shoot type guy. So he's not playing to his strengths. That just confuses me, slightly irritates me. So I would like that to be fixed. So again, it's clarity. That's what Riley said in the comments earlier. Clarity is all they want. So I would hope. This is my reference to water. Be like water, right? That's in the intros. If you guys, be like water, my friend, because water can flow, and water can crash. But be like water, but just be clear water. Like I said, be that Hawaiian water, be that Bohemian water, right? Be the beach resort where you go out there and like I said, you wade neck deep out and you look down, you can see your feet. You know what's under the water. You have clarity. You have clarity. That's what the Blazers need to do. Clarity. Not for just them, but the fan base as well. Because fans want it. Fans want it. And again, if you think the vets are good enough to win, then build around them. Build around them. Figure that one out. But if you want to move on from them and you truly think the young guys you got can be a very, very good core 2-3 years from now, well, it's time to just hand them the keys, man. Let them learn. It's like a bird, right? What does the mama bird do? Knocks the bird out of the nest. Gotta learn how to fly, kid. Gotta learn how to fly. That's what the Blazers need to do. These young boys, they need to learn how to fly. This is Blazers Game Day presented by Coors Light. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to follow me and continue the conversation and tell me how wrong I am or how right I am or just, talk about anything and everything, you can hit me up on social at Chris J. Burkhardt. You can also follow the conversation over on youtube.com. And you should probably have the phone number 503-248-0620 saved in your telephone so you can call in, especially during the fifth quarter, because that's the primary call-in show, man. I need you guys to call in and yak with me, and we can have some fun. But we're going to take a break now. When we come back, it was time for our keys to the game. What do the Blazers have to do to extend their season-long win streak to 5 and get a win over the number 1 team in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder? I'll let you know when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you, and it is time now for our keys to the game. What do the Blazers have to do to get a win over the Oklahoma City Thunder? And let me tell you what, it's one of those days I think you have to play a flawless game. A flawless game to get ahead of OKC. This is a team that does not mess around. As we said earlier, they are 36-8 on the season, but they are on a one-game losing streak, so watch out. You know what? Maybe you can hand it, them number 2. They are gettable if you can catch them on an off night. I mean, you look at that loss that they were handed in their last game. It was 121-115 in favor of the Dallas Mavericks, and that was a Dallas Mavericks team that was still without Luka Doncic. Now again, they have Kyrie Irving, and he had a good game, 24 points. Spencer Dinwiddie dropped 28. They had 22 from P.J. Washington. So that tells me one thing you need to do is you need to get out and you need to score with great efficiency, because Dallas shot 45% from the three-point line, 52% from the floor, and they had to outduel OKC, who shot 47% from the floor and 40% from deep. So they needed to get the three ball flowing. In fact, they shot ESPN's box score is all crazy. They shot 80% from the three-point line, 14 of 31. 14 of 31 Dallas did. So that's crazy good for them. Now, that's not 80%. Their whole box score is messed up. Don't do a show live and look at a box score that apparently the box score is like all janky. Nothing's in the right place. 45% from 3, but 14 of 31, even though nothing's lined up. I apologize. That's on me. Point is, they still shot the ball incredibly well compared to Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City wasn't shooting bad. So they had to have one of those games. It sounds dumb when you say this, but it's like, yeah, the team who scores more points wins, right? Well, you need to score more points in OKC. You have to have an extremely efficient night. So to put that, bluntly, you cannot have an off shooting night from Jeremy Grant. You cannot have an off shooting night from Anthony Simons. And quite frankly, Shaedon Sharp's going to have to step up, and he's going to have a big shooting night, right? They had 3 players, Dallas did, who scored 20 or more points and shot the ball well. So Portland's going to have to do the same thing. If you get into those situations where Jeremy Grant's struggling to shoot the ball and Anthony Simons struggling to shoot the ball, have fun. Things are going to get nasty. So you have to absolutely have a perfect game if you're the Blazers. That's what it takes to beat Oklahoma City, man, is perfect games. Perfect games. You can go back to November 20th when Oklahoma City came in. They beat the Blazers 109-99, and in that game, I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder shot 44% from the floor. Portland shot 40%. They shot 39% from beyond the arc. Now, Oklahoma City shot just 29, but Portland had 22 turnovers. Right? So secondarily, you got to take care of the ball. You got to be very, very efficient offensively, and then you have to take care of the ball. You cannot afford turnovers against this team. They can get out in transition and get easy buckets with the absolute best of them. So you have to be careful. You have to be very, very smart with how you handle the ball. And then it's going to be much harder against this team, because you look at what happened in those last 2 games against Orlando and that game against Charlotte. Those are 2 of the worst offenses in the entire league. Okay, Orlando currently the lowest scoring team in the league at 103.8, and Charlotte the 3rd lowest scoring team at 107.5. And Portland was able to hold them each well below their season average, and they played good defense in doing it, right? But it's a little bit easier when you're playing offenses that aren't great. You're playing an offense that doesn't have LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, their top 2 scorers. You're playing an offense who is, Paulo Banchero is still getting reacclimated to being back, and then you're adding Franz Wagner back in, and so there's factors there. And then you got Oklahoma City tonight. They're the 7th best offense in the league in points per game at 106.5. So again, defensively, you're going to have to turn up that intensity, because you're really going to have to make them work for it. And unfortunately for Portland, Oklahoma City does not turn over the ball a lot. They average just 12 turnovers per game, right? And again, you can go look at the last game. How many times did they turn the ball over against Portland? They turned the ball over on that November 20th matchup 13 times, right? So again, you talk about the efficiency and holding on to the ball and all those little things. Yeah, this team does it so well. And so Portland has to be on their absolute best. And I do think defensively over the last handful of games, like that entire road trip and that game in Chicago, defense was playing very well. In fact, I think you can argue that's why they won those games, because offense was meh. Like, it wasn't great. You look at that game in Charlotte, they shot 40% from the floor, 28% from beyond the arc. They had 2 players in double figure, who scored 20 or more. That was Anthony and Jeremy Grant. Outside of that, they had good scoring, but nothing that was just crazy good where you just, oh, there it is. Hey, Denny Avdia had 18 points. 11 of those came from the free throw line. So that would be important tonight if we can force some foul trouble for Oklahoma City, because that's going to hurt them a little bit. But, man, again, you just have to be extremely efficient offensively. I do think the last few games we've seen better defense, but we haven't seen that efficient offense. So tonight would be a great time for the Blazers to get that offensive efficiency out of the way. Let's look around the league real quick while we got a few minutes. What else is going on in the league today? Oh, yeah, absolutely nothing. This is the only game on the schedule today. No other NBA teams are playing. On Championship Sunday around the NFL, where currently the Philadelphia Eagles have a 27-15 lead over the Washington Commanders at halftime. The Commanders, man. I think the Eagles are the better team. I pegged them to win. My wife asked me, hey, who's in the championship and who's going to get to the Super Bowl? I said, you got Bills, Chiefs, and you got Commanders, Eagles. And I go, I'm rooting for the Bills and the Commanders, but it's probably going to be Chiefs, Eagles. The Commanders, man, wouldn't it be a great story? Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, taking the Commanders to the Super Bowl, which if you're a football fan, you understand that the long history of that football team in Washington. There was a point in time where they were probably they were like the storied franchise, man. They were big all across the country. Everybody loved them. Joe Gibbs was winning Super Bowls. Then they sold and they just tanked and became one of the worst run organizations in sports. Now here they are on the come up thanks to a rookie quarterback. Storylines, man. I love them. But the music is playing, Seven Nation Army. It's time to go, but don't go anywhere, because coming up next, Chad Doing will have your Trailblazers pregame show across Trailblazers Audio Network. Travis Demers will have the call of the Blazers versus Thunder game tip-off at 3 o'clock. And, of course, when it's all said and done, come right back here. Stay locked in. Rip City Radio 620 for the 5th quarter, where hopefully we're breaking down another Trailblazers victory. We'll talk to you after this one.